My name is Michael Herb, and today I'm going to teach you a commonly used technique within the retouching industry to get that perfect, beautiful looking blemish-free skin. Frequency separation. What it does is it separates the color and the detail layer of the file and gives you the ability to work on each separately. Stay tuned. So the image that we're going to be doing is a rather crazy image of me, and I originally did this image as part of a comical portrait that it was just a little bit too soft for my liking, and I kind of ended up just disregarding it. What we're going to do is we're going to go in here and I'm going to show you how frequency separation can take care of the little things like stray beard hairs, this eyelash hair that we see here, and just random like skin tone variations that we typically just don't want. We always want to maintain our background layer for a number of reasons. First and foremost, we always like to have that background image to go back to see our progress. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Command J or Control J on the PC, but from here on out, when I say Command and you're a PC, just think Control. I'm tired of doing the whole Command Control thing. If it's Command, you know it's Control. If it's Option, you know it's Alt. Alright, so here we go. We're going to duplicate our background layer twice by hitting Command J. Now, a lot of tutorials will go in and show you the menu shortcuts. Me, it's just keyboard shortcuts, and that's all you're going to get. If you want to know the menu shortcuts, you can go and find somebody that's going to tell you that. But I'm not going to, because the keyboard shortcuts are the quickest and most efficient way to work. Alright, now I've duplicated my layer twice, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the topmost layer, high, not high frequency. We don't need to be typing forever. And low. Alright. We're going to hide the high layer. So we're going to go to Filter. We're going to go to Blur, Gaussian Blur. And when it comes up, you notice that your cursor changes to a square. What we're going to do here is we're going to click on the eye, and we're going to zoom out a couple times in the Gaussian Blur dialog box. And what we want to do is we want to blur the image until the texture disappears, but the major facial features don't disappear. So basically, the eyeballs, the nose is a giant facial feature in this image. We don't want them to disappear. So if we were going to go to like 100, that's too much. What we want to go to is we want to go to just enough where the details go away, but you don't lose the major details like the eyes and the nose. Okay. You can also use your up arrow keys and you can go up. If you hold down Shift, you can go up by tens. All right. So we're gonna stop here. Now I want to let everybody know that this is a 22 megapixel camera from the Canon Mark III. If you're using, let's say, the T2i or you're using the D700. 19 pixels isn't going to work for you. You're dealing with different megapixels. So don't sit there and write down these numbers because they're not going to work for everybody. If you're zoomed in close, if it's a close-up portrait, or if it's a zoomed out full body shot, these numbers are going to change, so don't take them to heart. You just have to experiment. All right, so we're going to go with 19 pixels. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our high layer and we're going to go Image, Apply Image. Our layer is going to be set to low. Channel is RGB. Blending mode is going to be set to add. Our scale is going to be set to 2. Our offset is 0, and we're going to hit invert. What this is going to give us is essentially it's going to look very similar to a high pass filter. We're going to hit OK, and immediately what we see is only the high pass. Now we have to change the blending mode, but we're not going to do that right away. What we're going to do is we're going to create a check layer, and this is basically going to enhance the detail just for editing purposes. We're going to take the low end and we're going to drag it to the base of the spike. We're going to take the high end and we're going to drag it to the peak of the spike. And now what we notice is all of our details are supercharged. Immediately I'm going to group the curves and the highlighter together with Command G, and I'm going to rename that high. Here's where you have a number of options. You can use the stamp tool, you can use the patch tool, you can use the healing brush, whatever method you prefer, it's up to you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you one method is better over another unless it really is. And if it gets the job done without distorting the image, then really, who am I to say anything? All right, but I'm going to start with the stamp tool, and I'm going to start with a brush that I've made. It's a 6-pixel brush, and it's got, I start with a diameter of 6 pixels, but it depends on the size of the photo. But one thing that's not going to change is the hardness. I like to keep it 85% hardness, not 100, not 0. Nothing is 100% hardness in real life. You're always going to get a slight soft edge no matter what. So I never use 100% hardness. Now, 0 isn't going to work for the healing because we're dealing with textures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with 85%. Just like any other time with the stamp tool, we're going to sample an area of good skin and overpaint the area of bad skin that we want. So holding Alt, I'm going to click on an area of good skin, and I am going to just overpaint. Now, I don't always select from the same area. I try to keep my selection within a small area, but if I need to resample, I have no problem doing so. And just like here, I don't want to keep going. I might run into the little eye socket depression, so we're going to go underneath. And don't be scared to resample often. So that got rid of that. Now I notice that I've got a little blemish here. I've got some red marks here. I guess some there. Now here's where things get tricky. Now if you're doing a beauty retouch for a fashion magazine, typically you go a little further. You know, you get rid of blemishes, freckles, stray hairs. But let's say that you're doing a portrait for a CEO or like a prominent figure in society. The last thing you want to do is get rid of features that belong to them and make them either younger or smoother than they really are. I mean, there are a number of things that you can do, but be aware of who you're retouching, and be sure not to go too far. If you have to, ask the client. Say, is there any facial features or parts of yourself that you're not comfortable with that you would prefer me to remove? Ask them right there, right after the shoot. This gives you a little idea of what they're not comfortable with. Oh, I'm not comfortable with this mole. I always have it removed. Okay, well then remove that mole. But the last thing you want to do is remove a mole or a freckle or a birthmark and offend the person or possibly paint yourself in a bad light. So ask questions, and that's going to be the best way to figure out whether or not they want something removed. All right, so what I'm noticing here is, as you notice, there's a lot of areas on my skin that are kind of got like the veins popped, and that's because I make really crazy facial expressions all the time, whether it be in the mirror, whether it be to my girlfriends, or to take a photo. So over time, you break those blood vessels and they don't come back. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go in, and this is where if somebody has pores, if somebody has a blackhead, you can get rid of them in the high layer. So by sampling in areas very close to where you're going, see there's a natural highlight here. We don't want to sample from over here because it looks bad, so we want to sample from the high area. And keep going. We're going to zoom out here. And here, actually, here's a trick. If you're zoomed in and you know you're going to immediately want to zoom back in after zooming out to find your place, hold down spacebar and the V key, and you'll be able to zoom out to full screen and find a new area. Okay, so we're going to tackle some of this facial hair. If you have a client that doesn't shave, it could be very frustrating. But We're talking about a 5 o'clock shadow. Now that's something that you can take care of in post if you have to. I mean, if you have the option of having him shave, have him shave. But if he didn't and you really have to take care of it, this is a great way of doing it. Just as we got rid of those blackhead blemishes, we're going to go in and I'm going to go back to my stamp tool because I'm comfortable with it. And we're going to sample and we're going to pull down. Now, why did I pull down? Because I see these natural lines in the face and I don't want to go away from it because you're going to disrupt those natural lines. Unless you're going to totally get rid of them, stay within the natural flow of what's going on in your photo. Now another tool you can use is you can use the patch selection tool. Now your patch selection tool is over where the stamp peeling tool is. It's down to. Now you can get to that using J, and Shift J will go through all the different options. And the patch tool is you're going to select an area or a patch that you want to replace, and you're going to take it and you're going to move it to the clean skin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this hair, and again, same principle as the stamp tool, you're going to stay within the lines. We're going to move up or down, whichever we prefer. All right. Again, we're going to select it and we're going to move up, and we're going to do it again. And we can keep going over and over. You can work for hours on the highlighter alone, and it depends on what kind of image. I mean, you can really get into it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take my own device and we're going to zoom out, and we are going to uncheck our curves check layer, and this is where we're going to take that high layer and overlay it with a low layer. We're going to go and we're going to adjust our blending mode from normal to linear light, and we're going to turn back on our low layer. Now we have an image. So I'm going to zoom in here to 100%, and you look. We've done a lot of touch up on the high layer. Now we're going to go and we're going to look at the low layer. Now here's where I differ from some other retouchers. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new layer, and we're going to name this skin. We're going to hit OK, and we're going to group the skin and the low layer together. Command G, and we're going to name it low. All right, I'm going to hide my high layer. I am going to solo my low layer. And this is where we're going to work non-destructively. We're not going to edit directly on the low layer for a number of reasons. Number one, I don't want to alter that layer unless I know for sure it is something that I will never need. Let's say that I go a little bit too far on the bags and the client comes back and goes, wow, dude, you made me look like Bruce Jenner. I can't have that. I mean, I need to show a little bit of my age. Well, you're working on the separate layer, the skin layer. You're going to be able to go back and reduce the opacity of that layer or erase a little bit of your touch-ups and bring back some of those bags. So what we're going to do is, with our brush tool selected, we're going to make sure that we're on our 13, well, we're on our 13 pixel brush, but the size doesn't really matter. It is the fact that, like I had said before, that we have transfer and our pen pressure is affecting our opacity. So I'm going to make the brush bigger, and I'm going to sample not in an area of extreme red and not in the eye socket depression. Right here, there's this line of just peachy looking color. We're going to select somewhere in there, and with our flow set to 5% by hitting Shift 05, we're going to start painting very gently over the entire area, trying to just blend all these tones together. You don't want to go too far right now. You just want to make sure that they're all decent, okay? We're going to go over to the other side and we're going to sample on the other side because the tones vary from one side of the face to the other, especially when the lighting isn't perfectly centered. There are shadows, tone differences. So we're going to select an area again and we're going to paint. And we're going to come up here and there's a major differences between the forehead, the bridge of the nose. So we're going to select an area and we're going to go ahead and paint again. All right, and let's take a look at what we're actually doing. It's good to always come back, all right, unsolo. And there's a big difference already. And all right, so what we notice here is there are still some very distracting features on the face, and frequency separation will allow us to take care of those features much easier than other techniques. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get rid of a major facial feature that I'm not happy with, but I'm not sure that it's going to be perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a duplicate layer. I'm going to group my high and low. I'm just going to say 1, we're going to duplicate this, we're going to go 2, and I'm going to turn off 1, and I'm going to go in, I'm going to solo my high layer. I want to turn on my curves and then solo, and I'm going to start erasing the distracting facial feature. What I'm basically doing is I'm just bringing the nose bridge down just to give some sort of indication that there is a slight bump. Get rid of that. Probably going to want to get rid of that because it just doesn't make sense. Okay, and then we're going to turn off our curves, turn back on our low. I'm going to go to the skin and we will sample colors. And we're just kind of blend it with the existing skin tones, getting rid of that harsh highlight that signifies a nose. I'm going to want to try to get rid of that here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Take some of that high, bring that down. Maybe grab some of the white over here just to signify that it's a bump. And then some of the dark, bring that down. I mean, for a couple of minutes. That's not that bad. And of course, you could work on, you know, making this a little bit cleaner. Coming down here, yeah, bring this highlight. Again, we can grab the highlight from over here, bring that down. Bring in some of the shadows, just so we can get like there was like maybe a very slight nose. Bring some of the highlights just to give a little bit of a shape. Maybe bring like that. Zoom out. Like a bird beak. All right, I'm done wasting time. As you can see, frequency separation is an incredibly powerful technique. You can remove entire features of the face. I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to show you that frequency separation can be used for more than just faces. It can be used to get rid of distracting elements in any type of photo, landscapes, close-ups, like macro. It could be product photography. So let's move over to a landscape. And really quickly, I'm going to show you how to use the same techniques to get rid of these, the cracks and some of the stains. All right, we'll go to our high layer. We're going to turn our curves layer on, solo our high layer, select our high layer. With the stamp tool, we're going to take areas of clean and we're going to just drag down over the cracks, up, get rid of this stuff over here, making sure to stay with the pattern, with the grain of the wall. We don't want to go horizontally, we want to keep going vertically. Okay, we're going to turn our curves layer off. We're going to go to our low layer, and instead of using another layer, what we're going to do is we're going to actually just use the patch tool, hitting J, and we're going to select the area that we don't like, and we're going to move over. We're going to take this out. Now, if you noticed that this last one, it didn't make a big difference, well, that's because we may have forgotten it on the high layer. But if you don't deselect, you can just go to the high layer and drag up. All right, we're going to get rid of the stuff up here. And now if you notice, there's a 30-second quick fix. We could take it one step further and we can even get rid of something as large as this sign because it was spray painted black. With the stamp tool, we'll hold down Alt, drag down, drag down, drag down. Go right to the high layer, drag down. And don't worry about these little bumps because we're going to get rid of them. All right, so we have some areas that we need to fix up. We can just go into the patch by hitting low and just bringing it up. And what we did real quick was we got rid of our no parking sign. The original and the after. So as you see, the frequency separation technique could be used for anything. Anything with a distraction, you can use this technique. Landscapes, macro, product, people, you name it. It's used by other top-end beauty retouchers. I am in no way, shape, or form a top-end beauty retoucher, but I do use the technique nearly every day. My name is Michael Herb, and thank you for watching. By the way, just so everybody knows, this desk was made by my girlfriend. This lamp was made by my girlfriend. This coaster was made by my girlfriend. Yeah, she makes amazing woodworking. If anybody wants anything that they see on this desk, go to www.joychaneldesigns.com. She can do anything you want. Cutting boards, just